So for grounding, does it have to be barefoot in grass or in soil, or can it be barefoot anywhere to get the benefits of it?
Yeah, so grounding, just very simply, it's just being in electrical contact with the surface of the earth. That can be done outside, barefoot, directly on the surface of the earth, or it can be done inside in here. If you have a grounding mat that's connected to a wall outlet, or a grounding sheet, grounding pillowcase, there's many ways to do it, but as long as you're establishing electrical contact with the surface of the earth, you are, by definition, grounded. And that's measurable. It's measurable on your body. You can measure it with a multimeter. That is the very simple definition of grounding. Is it's just being in electrical contact with the surface of the earth.
Got it. I'm interested in the fact that you have a background in physics. You're into something that's very esoteric.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious, when you got into this space, do you feel like the physics background initially made you skeptical, or did it kind of help you connect the dots?
Yeah, so I had originally started out as a biology major, and then I had realized everything that was going on here, the biology, the biochemistry, you break it down to its most fundamental level is physics. It's physics, it's protons, it's neutrons, it's electrons. If you break it down to its simple building blocks, that's what's going on. And I was like, I'm never going to understand what's really going on here in biology, biochemistry, if I don't understand the underlying physics. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to study physics, and I'll figure out everything with the biology later, but this is what needs to be understood first. And, you say it's very esoteric, and I agree, but what's really going on here is a very biophysical process. It's charge transfer between your body and the surface of the earth. So I think they're very much related, and that's how I go about teaching people about it, because it's not enough to tell somebody, go be barefoot, it's good for you, it's anti-inflammatory, like it's all these different things. I'm the person that's like, why is it good for me? Why is it anti-inflammatory? Why are these things happening? And so that's when I kind of wanted to become a spokesperson for this specific process. And so I learned everything that I possibly could about it, applied my academic background, and really made this digestible for people. But, in today's day and age, people like numbers. They like data. They want to know, the science behind it. And, people that are just, go outside, be barefoot, that's not enough.
Yeah.
It's not enough for people these days. We're very in tune with the science of a lot of things now, the nutrition, exercise, and all that. So, the same thing applies with grounding. We need to teach people the actual science behind what's going on.
What sort of stats are there, if any, that you kind of like throw at people when they ask those deeper level questions? Like, because I'm thinking like getting more sunlight is another thing where it's like, it's just obvious. It is one of those things that it's good for you, but most people are like kind of either face some resistance to doing it, or it's like so simple that they think that it's like too woo woo or something.
Yeah. It's a great question. So when somebody tells me, grounding isn't a thing, so I usually point them in the direction of something that's plugged into their outlet. So there's a third hole in these wall outlets around here, and that's the grounding port. So that essentially takes excessive electrical energy in the case of a ground fault or a short circuit. That gives that excessive current a place to go, and that's into the surface of the earth. So electrical grounding has been utilized in the electrical industry for a very, very long time, and that's for safety to people and to the equipment. So it's the same process with the body. So what that's doing is it's the earth is essentially a sink for electrical charge. And so when you come into electrical contact with the earth, it's essentially taking any excessive electrical charge from your body and it's dissipating it into the surface of the earth. And that contributes to your body's electrical homeostasis. And when you think of homeostasis, you don't really think of that electrical side of your body, but your body's very much electrical. And so that electrical homeostasis needs to be maintained. And one of the biggest ways, I'd say the biggest way that it's maintained is through the surface of the earth grounding.
Really liked your response earlier. When I think I coined grounding as being esoteric, and you were like, yes, it's branded as esoteric, but this is just like a science-based thing based on your previous explanation. It reminds me a lot of just meat-based diets too, where it's like considered an esoteric thing, but just from a scientific perspective, these are some of the most nutrient-dense foods you can possibly be eating. So I always think it's interesting between walking the fine line between these things are branded as esoteric, but it's actually real science that we've just lost over the last 50 plus years.
Yeah. Going back to the outlet thing, if you're denying what I'm saying, if you're denying this whole grounding thing, there's no reason to have all of these in every single electrical outlet that's used around the world. Like, this is very much an established process for electrical energy. So I've been wanting people to realize the biological aspect of that, and that's what I've been doing for the past 4.5 years of doing the Grounded Athlete. So.
Is lower inflammation the biggest benefit that people will see from grounding, or are there other things that kind of speak to the power of grounding?
Yeah. So in the book that I'm finishing up, I tried to condense grounding down to its core mechanisms of what's going on when you're grounded. I call it the big three. And the big three, number one, is that it's increasing the density of negative charge in your body, and that's contributing to electrical homeostasis that I talked about earlier. That's the state that your body's supposed to be in, electrically grounded to the earth, because humans have, for however long we've been here on Earth, that's its own conversation. We've been in electrical contact with the surface of the Earth. It's only in the last 100 or so years that we've introduced rubber-soled shoes and these artificial surfaces on the ground that have electrically disconnected us from the earth. And a lot's happened in the last 100 years as far as like nutrition and sedentary lifestyle, but this is one thing that's definitely been overlooked, is our electrical contact to the surface of the earth. So that's giving us electrical homeostasis. So number one is that it's increasing the density of negative charge in our body. And I can expand on any one of these, after this. But number two is that it's attenuating the inflammatory oxidative stress response in the body. So if you think about what's the number one killer worldwide, it's chronic disease. And what is chronic disease? It's essentially low-grade inflammation that just persists over a long period of time. And that turns into cardiovascular disease, neurodegenerative, autoimmune, cancer, diabetes. All these things are linked by inflammation and oxidative stress. So where grounding comes into the picture is oxidative stress. And so you have these electrons at the surface of the earth. So what is oxidative stress? So oxidative stress is essentially imbalance between the free radicals in your body, these reactive oxygen species, and antioxidants. So most of the time we're just overridden with these free radicals, these reactive oxygen species. But we have our own antioxidant system. And what these antioxidants do is they essentially donate electrons to these reactive species. They neutralize them. But more often than not, these antioxidants become overrun with these free radicals. And so you end up with oxidative stress. You end up with an imbalance in favor of the free radicals. And that contributes to oxidative stress. And if you do any PubMed search, inflammation, oxidative stress are going to be the number one things you're going to find as far as contributing to chronic inflammatory disease, these two processes. And so if we can affect one, this oxidative stress side of things, we can likely affect by proxy the other, because they are found together wherever you're studying them in whatever condition you're studying. So where grounding comes into the picture is through that oxidative stress response, and I can elaborate on that one wherever you need me to. But I want to get to number three. I forgot to say number three is that it charges the watery matrix battery in your body, and that's more on the esoteric side of things, if you will. But that's a very big part of this whole grounding story, and that's why I decided to call the book Earth and Water, which I'm finishing up. But there's a lot, and it's from these three things that all of these benefits stem from, this stress relief and the anti-inflammatory stuff. But there's a lot that's going on in your body when you ground, but those are the kind of its core mechanisms.